it's sometimes you don't even realize you're on a journey until you're in the middle of it. I had bought a duplex, which I house hacked, so that's kind of my first real estate investment, pay it forward. And that's my philosophy in one of, website that I have is, pay it forward.
Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building a community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Diversified. I am your host, Jacqueline Landry. Wanted to tell you that we have a very, very special guest, Rita De Palma. She is a certified, I'm going to read this here because I want to make sure that I introduce her appropriately. So Rita is a certified nurse practitioner, born and raised in suburban New York, currently lives in Southwest Florida. She holds 10 state licenses and currently practices primary care telemedicine. So she works from home. Passive investor in 388 doors, and currently on a team where she's either going to be a joint venture partner or a co-general partner on a deal. She enjoys science, nature activities, and here's the part that I like country, line dancing, and salsa dancing, two different worlds. So Rita, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me so much.
So I would love to talk a little bit about our new venture together, right? So Rita and I are part of a book that is going to be launched on March 9th called Real Women in Real Estate Volume 2. And we're here today to talk about her chapter. So Rita, tell the audience the name of your chapter and what the chapter is about.
So the name of my chapter is called We Are One World. And essentially, there are many components to this chapter. A lot of it is about my real estate journey, as is this book, to inspire other women who think that maybe it is too big of a mountain to climb, to become successful in this world, in this realm of real estate. And the idea came to me for We Are One World because of how my story unfolded. So essentially, one of my underlying themes in my chapter is that we're all connected. And I really believe this. I get goosebumps when I say that, and I think about this chapter and think about how I'm meeting these amazing women that are, most of them are a little bit further along in the real estate journey. And that's great because I'm learning from them. One of the and it's just so amazing because everyone that I've met along in this journey is so giving and so caring and sharing of their information and their journey. And that helps you in your journey. And that is how, once again, this title came to me. For example, I was gifted this book at a conference that I went to, a real estate conference last year, by one of the previous authors in volume 1. And I remained in contact with this person, with Liz, and we may do business together in the future, but I've learned from her. And then in being gifted this book, I ended up meeting Jackie. I ended up, meeting virtually, I should say, and I'm going to meet in person. I'm so excited.
Yes.
All of these women that are in this volume with me. But I ended up meeting virtually via phone and video, McGenna and Brooke, the coordinators and the main authors of this book. And it was because of these connections that I was invited to be part of volume 2. And then further connections were made through all of these connections and the WhatsApp groups, and which led to the other groups that I got involved with, where I will be doing more real estate investing. And it looks like the first one I'm going to do is a joint venture. There's other deals on the table, other deals being looked at with this other group that I'm involved with, and we're all in the same WhatsApp communities. There's several of them, and it's been an incredible learning journey. I also realized that I had been at the same summit, Grant Cardone Summit, in December of 2021, where McGenna and I think Brooke were both at that one, but I didn't meet them then. I met them just recently. So it's a small world. We're all one world.
Yes. You'll realize that there's people at conferences that you've been going to for years, and you just never had a conversation with them, or, had a one-on-one with them. So yes, it's a very, very small world, and true. It is a small world, and we are all connected. I think one of the things that I love about, and my journey has shifted a little bit. So I love that you actually talk about, you love the women, the women that are in this book and in the inspiration. And my focus has changed a little bit in the past, I would say 12 months or so, to really focus on the women aspect, as well as the minority aspect of it. So I really want to educate women and minorities, that, as well as busy professionals, of course, that real estate investing is not difficult to get into. If you have the ability to have an extra $25,000, $50,000, $75,000 a year, use it wisely. Don't go out and buy that new Cadillac, because that's only going to depreciate in value. Go put it in something that matters, that appreciates in value, such as real estate. So I love that you brought that up, and I'm a huge advocate of promoting women and minorities in this space, because let's face it, Rita, right? You walk into a room, and you kind of do this, and you go, yeah, there's one at every table of 10.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 of every 10. So I feel like the women just really, bring up and boost my confidence, which I feel like I need almost on a daily basis. And I'm pretty confident, but I love the extra support from these women groups that I belong to now, because I really feel that they make a difference. So how do you feel about that? What's the biggest thing that you're getting from, the group so far, in collaborating on this book?
Very similar to what you just described. When you go to these summits and these conferences and real estate events, you feel sometimes like, you're the only woman in the room, although it is changing. So I am seeing more women now. And then maybe it's because I'm noticing it too. Maybe because my eyes have been opened to the fact that there are more women who are successful in this space. And in addition to, their other professions as well. Just in my medical profession, I'm seeing more and more women that are very successful, as doctors, as nurse practitioners and PAs. And so we're seeing it more. It's more noticeable, but it is a little bit intimidating sometimes. You feel like, is this a space for me? Because what I normally see is more of the male gender. But this group has really helped me realize, by seeing the success of all of these women that I am now collaborating with and surrounding myself in this ecosystem, that, wow, I can be even more successful at this. This is not something that's not attainable to myself as a woman and as minority. I come from a family of minority. My mother was born in Cuba, my father in Italy, and they came to the United States, and I'm first generation American. And we have multiple cultures and races in my family. My family is diversified. We've got Black, we've got German, we've got Cuban, we've got Italian, Spanish, we've got all colors. Even just the Cubans in my family range from blonde-haired, green-eyed to black hair, black skin.
Wow.
The Cubans are very diverse, and people don't
Yes.
realize that, and Italians too, depending on what part of Italy. We do have some dark-skinned Italians in my family and dark-eyed, like myself. And then we have very like blonde hair, blue-eyed Italians. People don't realize that these two cultures, they're very diverse in themselves. So I grew up with diversity. So I love diversity.
Yes. Yes.
It's my passion.
That's great to hear. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody even understands what that means from a culture perspective. So that's great. So I don't want you to tell the viewers everything about your chapter, but let's talk about one thing in your chapter that you want to entice the viewers and to talk about and entice them to buy the book once they see this video.
So, it sometimes you don't even realize you're on a journey until you're in the middle of it, and, my journey started many, many years ago with real estate, not even realizing that it would go in this path. I started out, always have been in the medical field. I mean, I was a chemist before I was a nurse. So I was always a science nerd in some way. And then I went into nursing and then became a nurse practitioner. But along the way, I was a real estate agent, wanting to get into real estate in a certain way because I've always loved it. As a child, I remember looking out the window, and that's one of my subchapters. Things happened in my life, losing my father at a young age. And so, things that could have stopped me, been a barrier for me to keep going and be successful in life. Bad things happen to people and unexpected things. And then what you do next, what you do, how you recover and how you move forward will determine how your life goes, right? And everything, all you do and all you see is all your life will ever be, from a Pink Floyd song. So what you surround yourself with, the people you surround yourself with. And I was fortunate enough to be guided in many ways to be led to successful paths, becoming a chemist and then becoming a nurse practitioner. And before that, a real estate agent. I had some serendipitous encounters with people who, for example, a nurse who was a real estate and a mortgage broker, and started with that. My interest, I always, as a child, was looking out the window because I lived close to New York City, in suburban New York, and I would go to the city and be looking out the window and see all the big buildings and wonder, what are those people's lives like? Look at those buildings. Look at the construction. It's fascinating. I think I wanted to be an architect at one point in my life. That was one of the things, because I love structure of buildings. I love geometry. I'm a science nerd in me. But then it also went beyond that, because I love people. I love diversity, and I love to learn about people's stories. So I would create stories in my head, just even driving or walking or riding my bike in my neighborhood, wondering, with that window and the light that was on, what is that family like? What do they do? So I was always fascinated with real estate on different levels, but not realizing that someday it will be part of a career, part of a business for me. So I probably went off on a tangent, but
no, that's okay. So when you met this fellow real estate agent that was also a broker, how did she inspire you and kind of tweak your interest in just being something other than a real estate agent?
So she didn't necessarily do that for me. She sparked the interest in, well, I can do this too. She was a female, minority in a sense, of the gender. And this was 20 years ago. She was a nurse, but did it part-time. And then she had her full-time business as a real estate agent and broker, and a very successful business. So I did some transactions with her. I became an agent in Connecticut when I lived there. And then fast forward to 2 years ago, I was working as a nurse practitioner in a walk-in clinic, and I had kind of put real estate to the side. I became frustrated in the sense that as an agent, you really have to focus full-time on building your clientele, building your network. And I never had the time to do that. I had an elderly mom that I was responsible for at this point. My kids were grown, so that wasn't the problem anymore. It was, how do I divide my time? How do I
Yeah.
do this? And I kind of fell into a funk, honestly. And real estate just kind of sat in the corner for a while. The idea, I was like, how am I going to do this? I had bought a duplex, which I house hacked, so that's kind of my first real estate investment, aside from other homes that I bought and sold as a real estate agent years ago. So I found that house, but I met this doctor who is a real estate investor. And we worked together at the clinic, and I started hearing him on phone calls on his breaks and all these transactions he was doing. And I thought, are you an agent? And he said, no, I'm not an agent. I make way more money, and I do a lot more, and I help a lot of other people because I'm a real estate investor. So it was that one of those serendipitous encounters, and he's remained a colleague and a friend, actually, and a mentor. He was my first true mentor. And that is what happened in 2021 that sparked me to come out of my funk and reinvent myself and relearn or learn about investing and seriously investing, and how you can, 2x, 5x, 10x your earnings and help other people along the way, because he was helping me, and he said, don't ever pay me back, pay it forward.
Yeah.
And that's my philosophy in one of, website that I have is, pay it forward. And so that was, I think, that second serendipitous encounter that was the most important and life-changing for me in realizing that I can do this. And he had so much faith in me too. He really encouraged me. And that if it wasn't for him at that time, I would not have gone to that Grant Cardone summit. I didn't meet McKenna and Brooke then, but then it just kept on snowballing from there. I kept on going to different events, and then eventually to a Brad Sumrock event where I met Liz. I was gifted the book, and then met McKenna, and Brooke became part of this project. And all along the way, over the last, I want to say, 6 to 8 months is when things have started to accelerate for me, getting part of groups where I'm now doing bigger deals, getting involved in bigger, ventures. The passive investing that I've done so far, where I have small, claims in these bigger apartment buildings through different groups. One of them is a Pace Morby group, and the other one is Grant Cardone. So I did invest in one of his big properties, but I'm a small player in those. However, now I'm becoming one of the main players, one of the managers of the asset.
Fantastic.
And it's amazing.
So what did the doctor say to you? Did he have to start with, hey, here's what an investor means? Because I think a lot of people don't. You say investor, and it's like people really don't understand what that means, or they go, oh, no, sorry, I don't want another job. So there's really mass confusion out there in the normal world, or for the average world, of what an investor is. So did he have to start with what an investor is, or what did he start with when he was talking to you about what he does? And it's not real estate transactions that you knew it as.
So the first thing he told me was, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of ways that you can make money and help other people as well. And he said, the first thing I want you to do is read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you haven't yet. And I had started that book like 15 years ago, and then I put it down. I don't know. My kids were young then. I think that I became encompassed with being a mom and a nurse, and things were so busy for me. So I put that book down. So I bought it again because I couldn't find it. I knew I had it somewhere in one of my boxes. And I did. I read the book, and it inspired me. The story inspired me. I learned what, how Robert Kiyosaki and his wife, Kim, started as with one small property. And then it snowballed from there, and they learned how to have passive income and, almost infinite returns, and how taxes, you then reduce your tax burden because you are using the tax code the government wants you to help other people. They want you to provide housing for people. And that is how you reduce your tax burden and pay legally no taxes. And then, it was from there that I started following other big real estate investors like Ken McElroy and Jason Hartman, and then Brad Sumrock and Grant Cardone, and following all of the big name players that people tend to think, well, this is way out of my league. And yeah, it is out of your league, but they started from nothing.
Yes.
They started from nothing.
Yes.
There's a chapter in Rich Dad Poor Dad where Kim and Robert were poor. they had good jobs, but they left their jobs and they decided to go on the journey, and they just had reached a kind of like a rock bottom point because they didn't want help from anybody. They didn't want help from their families and where they were building their real estate. But then they got some they invested in some real estate, went from there, and now they're, multi, who knows, maybe even billionaires at this point. And they help so many other people. They do free podcasts, and they do have programs you can pay for, but they're very reasonable, and their content is out there and available free, and they want to help people. And Kim, she has like a female podcast, for women who think, well, this is a male dominated realm. Well, it's not going to be anymore. And it's not, in a sense. It's just that women don't think that they can be successful in this space, but they can.
Yes. And it's interesting that you mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So now when my husband and I go look at properties here in the Pittsburgh area, he never turns on the radio. He only turns on podcasts. And we've been listening to Robert Kiyosaki's podcast.
I love it.
We also have it in the car playing when our 9-year-old son is in there, right? We also do motivational videos with him so that he starts to think differently versus what school's trying to teach you. We try not listening to Robert Kiyosaki's, true statements that he puts out that our education system sucks. So we want to still make sure that he understands he needs to do well in school, but that's that's not the final goal, right? Get past school, get to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Figure out what you want to do in life, but in order to get there, you need to make sure that you're investing and that your mindset doesn't think like a W-2 employee, but that your mindset thinks like a millionaire and a billionaire, where the major difference is mindset and use debt. Called using debt to create wealth.
Yes.
Using debt to create wealth. What a crazy concept. Because I'll tell you, my husband and I both grew up, I would say, poor to middle class. And we were all taught the same thing. You go to school,
same way.
You get an education, you
get a job,
you save in your 401k, you work till you're 65 and hope that you'll get a Social Security check.
Yeah.
I don't know if Social Security is going to be around when I get to be 65. So we're not banking on that. But so we were raised the same way. So we're trying to get a real good kickstart with our son. And hey, if you want to become a millionaire, multimillionaire, you need to realize that you're not getting there by working a job.
Right.
And I don't care if it's the largest paying job.
You're trading dollars for hours.
You're still not going to save enough money to buy a $15 million jet. That's what my son wants to do. It's just not going to happen. There's no way that you can work that much or save that much to be able to do that.
Right.
So,
and then afford the upkeep of that jet.
and all of that stuff. So I love it. I'm trying to listen to more podcasts too, even though I'm the host of one. When I'm in, like I said, when I'm in the car with my husband, that's kind of what we do because we need to continually educate ourselves. Rita, right? When we go into these rooms, if we sound uneducated or we're not on our game, they will turn their face and they'll go on to the next person in the room. So because we're women, we need to be really on our game versus not bashing any men out there, but I think this is reality. If they sort of know what they're talking about and have the suit on, they'll probably be able to talk to a lot of people in that room. If we don't, have, if we're not on our game and know what we're talking about and know about relevant issues and current events, forget it. We lose all credibility.
And that's the reality.
Yeah. So we need to, we need to up our game. And that's just how it is. That's the reality. But that's okay. Listening to podcasts like this, listening to other people's podcasts, staying educated, collaborating with other investors, women or not, that's really what's going to help us, elevate our game and make sure that people know, hey, guys, we know what we're talking about. So jump on the bandwagon.
Exactly. Another good podcast to listen to, if you haven't already, is Ken McElroy and his wife, Danielle. They do it, I think, every Monday. It's live, but then they also, it's recorded. And Kiyosaki and he know each other. Ken McElroy is his advisor for real estate purchases. And Ken McElroy is really big. Same philosophy, educate yourself, constantly educate yourself. And they're always educating themselves. They go to masterminds, they go to meetings, they have podcasts. And Ken McElroy and Danielle, same philosophy, that you're not learning these skills in school, but they're not as blunt about it as Kiyosaki for a child listening. Because, and I don't even think Kiyosaki is giving this message as drop out of school, just that you're not learning what you need to learn about finance in school. But he's just real blunt about it, more in an adult way. So you don't want kids to think, oh, well, I'm just not going to, do well in school. No, you need to do well in school, but you also need to get this financial education, which you're not going to get in school.
Right.
And so then what you're doing for your son is fabulous, because he needs to get this financial education and mindset. And it's not just real estate, but it's a finance mindset.
Yep.
So that he will have that jet someday, right? Because he's going to have this mindset. He's not going to only have a job. He will have a business or multiple businesses like you and your husband have. So Ken McElroy is another good one. And I think it's more child friendly if you want to start looking at that one and having your son listen to it, because they do a really good job, with and not just real estate, but also financial, like what's the state of finances right now, how it's, multifamily real, because he's big in multifamily. And he started as a property manager in Seattle. I follow his story, he and Danielle. She was a teacher. And now they're real estate investors, and he's got billions in assets. He started out amazing. He started out 5 years ago, as a property manager in real estate for a big building. And he saw his boss coming in the Mercedes and saying, you're doing a great job. The occupancy is up. Everything looks great. And then when he left, he thought, I'm on the wrong side of the desk.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rita, let's, I know we're getting towards our time here. What are the 2024 goals for you? So you're already a passive investor. You're getting ready to be, a partner,
JV,
or in a JV. What other goals are there for 2024 for you?
So my other goals for 2024, I'm meeting one of them is to be part of a bigger investment. So the JV deal that is actually in process right now is one of those goals. It's wonderful, and it's early. It's Q1. So this is
great.
Sooner than I thought it was going to happen. I want another goal is to be part of a syndication, which there's opportunities for that as well. At least 1 to 2 other deals where I am a co-GP and raising capital and helping to raise capital for these businesses. So 1 to 2 of where I'm a co-GP. I also have some fascination with smaller multifamily, and I'm looking locally to get involved in some of those. So I would like to have, for example, a quad that is producing cash flow, obviously. And there's something called pad split. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's kind of a newer concept, pad split. So if you go online, you look it up. And so what that does is it you can split up a property. Of course, you have to find out what the zoning allows and what the neighborhood allows. And I know somebody who's doing this, and I may do a JV with him on a local property. He has one in Tampa that he's setting up, and it's very popular right now. In many cities, it's happening. Not all cities have it. But anyway, so let's say you have a 4-bedroom house. You split up the bedrooms and the other parts of the house. For example, a den that nobody's using, the dining room space, the living room space, and you make them into, let's say, 4 other bedrooms. So now you have a 4-bedroom house that's an 8-bedroom house. It has a kitchen and several bathrooms, and you rent them out by the room. And so now you've doubled or tripled the cash flow on that property.
Yes. Yeah.
So
we love that idea. And yeah, we know what that is too. We're actually looking for one of those in the Pittsburgh area, right? Because Pittsburgh's a very old city with huge homes in certain areas. And, so we're looking for that right opportunity to be able to do that, especially near some of these, the bigger colleges.
Exactly.
Exactly into, what students are looking for. So long-term goal, do you want to quit your job 3 to 5 years? Are you going to continue working? Do you want to have a certain amount of money for cash flow? Like, tell me a little bit about that and what kind of ended up with, your longer term goal. Like at what point will you kind of say, I did it and I reached my financial freedom number, or I reached my goal in real estate?
My long-term goal, let's say midterm, long-term, 3 to 5, 3 to 8 years, right? Generational wealth is what I want to build. And I want to bring my children, who are adults now, and they're interested in this business as well, and bring them into this so we can work together as a team, even more so as a team. And I want to have time and time freedom, time and money freedom, basically, so that I can be anywhere at any time for my family and friends. And I'm also involved in, also in my bio in the book is where I have become very involved in charities. I want to give, I want to pay it forward, teach other people to do what I'm doing and where I'm going to be 3 to 5 years from now. And I also sponsor children in different charities. I have a child in Kenya, I have a child in Ethiopia, and I have a child in South America that I sponsor financially. So this person that I have become involved with, it's a small world. I met him through another friend who I met through another friend years ago, and he's the one in Kenya. He is an inspiration to me. He had millions, and he gave house to his ex-wife. He gave up most of his personal belongings. He's in his 70s, and he works on this charity. It's called Reborn Ministries. And he's the one that I sponsored the child in Kenya with. I want to go out there. He lives there, and he comes back and forth to the U.S. He was from New Jersey originally, but he lives in Kenya mostly, and he helps to build schools and hospitals. And these people are beautiful people. They are so innocent, and they love God, and to help these people. We have a lot of government programs here in the U.S., and it's just not utilized, and education needs to be done. I also sponsor charities here in the U.S. as well. But there's, something that has drawn me to this charity. So I want to be able to just go to Kenya for 3 weeks because I want to help Jimmy build another hospital, because they need it. And it's so cheap to do this there. Like $10 a month goes so far, and you can sponsor 2 children for that amount and give them everything they need.
Wow.
So
that's great.
This is my goal, is to be able to have my time freedom, have enough passive income coming in so that I can do other work. I don't think I'll give up the medicine 100% because it's been part of me for so many years.
Yeah.
And I love to help people in that way as well, but I won't have to do it 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you can choose to do it 10 hours a week.
Right. And you can use that to educate other people, nurse practitioners, doctors, so on and so forth, the benefits of passive investing. And they too build generational wealth and shouldn't be saving. So don't lose that network, because that's
No,
a
I
great
will
network.
I will never lose that network. And my
Yep.
goal is now I am educating some of my colleagues in the medical world that, there's other ways to build your net worth and to invest your money and reduce your tax burden. So I'm on that journey as well. So I've got like a
Awesome.
multiple journeys that are going, and those are my long-term goals.
Awesome. Well, Rita, if the audience wants to, talk with you more about your journey or about something specific that you talked about here on our podcast, how can they find you?
So they can find me in multiple ways. So I have a website that is still under construction. I need a VA to help me with that. We'll talk about that.
Calling all
Um,
VAs.
Calling all VAs because I need to farm that out because I built it myself, but it's not great. But anyway, the website, and it will be better soon in a couple of months. The website is www.figure8biz.com. So figure8biz.com. You can email through there. And then also my email is Rita loves real estate at gmail.com. So it's pretty easy.
Love it. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Rita, thank you so much for spending time with me. I can't wait to see you in Dallas for our book launch, Real Women in Real Estate Volume 2, launching on March 9th, which is 2024. And you should be able to find this book available on Amazon, and I'm sure Rita will be selling it on her website as well. So more to come on that. But Rita, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.